all-out discussion on the PBA Governors Cup Finals is who else? Our resident basketball analyst when it comes to the PBA, Mr. Juan Banal. Good morning, Juan B. Welcome back.
Good morning, on. I wish you could say that you're who else but our rest. You kind of have to say it with more excitement. Parang you're not you're like, oh, si Juan Banal na naman.
Naka,
No? I'm just
nagtatampo
kidding.
ka na. Nagtatampo na yata yung analyst natin. Patay, Juan B. Hindi, alam mo naman, we're always excited to have you because kahit 1 hour show pa natin, kayang-kaya mo. Ikaw na lang magsalita.
Kulang yung 30 minutes.
Juan B, you know what? It has been an exciting series so far. As expected, Meralco, Ginebra, Part 4, back and forth between these two teams. Rivals na nga sila sa Governors Cup the past few years. It has been a saga between the Bolts and the Gin Kings. Has it lived up to your expectations so far? Meralco up in this series 2-1.
You know, to be honest, Andre, we had our predictions in the beginning of this series, and you were asking me, who do you think? And we had, side conversations about it. But right now, I'm truly, in all honesty, uncertain of the outcome. I'm actually on the edge of my seat with the way things are panning out. It's got everything that you need in a championship series. All the off the court drama, the unpredictability of who's going to play, when are they going to play, the comebacks, and the big shots after big shots, big players after big players. It's, yes, it's the 4th time around that they're meeting each other, but you have to set this apart. The same way Justin Brownlee and Scottie Thompson is treating this series different from the rest. It shows on court, and I think it's really living up to how everybody wanted to look forward to a different kind of round 4 for Ginebra and Meralco.
Well, the Bulls won game 1. Ginebra tied things up game 2. Tapos ito game 3. Pivotal talaga to eh. Kasi nga, pwede mag-2-2, pwede mag-3-1. What has been the edge so far of Meralco in this series, in your opinion, Juan B?
I think for both teams, though, they stay true to who they are. And Meralco stayed true to them being a defensive team. They were able to limit Ginebra in game 1 to 38% from the field, and also in game 3, 40% from the field. And they haven't allowed Ginebra to actually step on that 100-point mark. They got close to it in game 2, but they've made sure that they've limited Ginebra below 100, and that says a lot about how they can just really lock in and make sure that they can make the necessary stops to close out a game. Also, another thing I would say would be the bench scoring. We've talked about this, that Ginebra likes to use their starting 5. Meralco, on the other hand, their advantage is the depth of their bench, and it has shown in game 1, Meralco 32 points from the bench, 14 for Ginebra. Game 2, Meralco had 25, Ginebra had 15. Game 3, Meralco had 19, Ginebra had 11. And also, second chance points has been to the favor of Meralco. They have been working hard on getting those second opportunities, those offensive rebounds. They have won in all games this category, especially glaring in game 3. Meralco had 19, Ginebra had only 8 second chance points.
Well, 1B, sabi mo nga, second chance points, yun yung kumbaga naging big factor dito for Meralco. And you also mentioned the defense. Coach Norman Black, I was able to speak to him. He said this has been a defense-oriented championship series so far. And it's really great to watch. It's like watching a chess match between two brilliant coaches. And syempre, hindi naman din naging madali yung panalo ng Meralco, not to take anything away from Ginebra. They've been able to hold their own. And we know they're more than capable of tying this series later, even missing guys, kahit wala pa ngayon Stanley Pringle, Japeth Aguilar, so forth and so on. But still, Ginebra is still a dangerous team. What has been Ginebra's advantage in your eyes in this series?
Well, they've been relentless, especially attacking the paint. Their points in the paint has been an advantage. Even if they couldn't get those second chance opportunities, they don't seem to need it because they get it on the first go when they start attacking and really pounding it hard with guys like Christian Stanhardier, Justin Brownlee, and even Scottie Thompson. They've been winning that points in the paint. In game 1, Meralco had 52. They won that, but in game 2 and game 3, they were completely dominated already by Ginebra. And so you know that Ginebra kind of figured it out. But in game 2, the advantage that they have was actually their outside shooting. They had 13 triples in game 2, and they shot 46% from the field. So if Ginebra gets their groove back from the outside, then that's going to be a threat. Also, they've been doing a good job since they've been attacking the paint. They've been getting themselves also to the free throw line. In game one, Ginebra had 19 out of 20. They had 24 free throws compared to the 12 of Meralco. In game two, they had 18 free throws compared to the 10. In game three, they had 22 compared to the 14. And their free throw shooting percentage has been in game one, 79%. In game two, 88%. In game three, that's 63%. So that's just the volume of free throws they've been taking because of their ability to get to the paint, and they understand how aggressive the defense also of Meralco is. So that they're kind of using that to their advantage as well.
Now let's talk about the exciting import matchup. One of the big stories for Meralco in Game 3 was how they limited Justin Brownlee to a conference low 19 points. Sabi nga ni Coach Norman, nung nag-usap kami and si Tony Bishop, nakausap ko about this matchup, limiting Brownlee, playing solid defense on a super import. And both of them crediting Cliff Hodge for his defense as we take a look at Brownlee's numbers in Game 3 against the Bolts. Conference low to, but Coach Norman did say then, 1B, this isn't some code that they've cracked yet. Kasi for sure, pagdating kay Brownlee, dahil he's so versatile on both ends of the floor, babawi to moving forward. Let's talk about how Meralco was able to contain, slow down Justin Brownlee offensively, and what can Ginebra do on the floor to help Justin Brownlee, kumbaga, ease his offense and para mas mapadalian, lalo na pag nag-help defense and pag yung mga switches. Grabe din kasi pag biniblitz si Brownlee on defense.
Yeah, that's right. I like how you use the term very carefully, slow down Justin Brownlee, because I don't think anybody can stop Justin Brownlee. But you have to give credit to who credit is due. And yes, indeed, Cliff Hodge did play good defense. I mean, it's not as if he didn't play good defense in the first and second game or the rest of the Meralco Bolts. It's just that it kind of, because we're talking about a series, and so it's eventually, because you're playing against each other, there are things that you learn along the way if you're matched up against the same person. And I think that's the beauty of what Cliff Hodge has done. Like you said, it's a chess match. And so there are things that he's adjusted in his defense to slow down Justin Brownlee. The fact that he's been able to put a hand on the face of Justin Brownlee every time he tries to make those attempts from the outside. He was able to force Justin Brownlee to shoot 1 out of 10 from the 3. So that's huge for Cliff Hodge. But again, there were a lot of good looks from Justin Brownlee. They weren't just falling. And so he decided to start attacking the basket more. And most of his points came in the first half. But the second half, credit to Cliff Hodge. I think it's also the entire Meralco Bolts being able to help out Cliff Hodge, making his life a little bit easier in slowing down Justin Brownlee.
Well, I also did mention Tony Bishop. He's been able to keep up with Justin so far and just really holding his own as well on both sides. I remember 30 points and 16 boards in Game 3. Here are their somewhat identical numbers. Points-wise, lamang lang ng konti si Bishop sa rebounding category. If you're going to assess Tony Bishop here, so far, so good in this series, 1B, how can or what can Ginebra still do to slow him down?
Well, let's first credit Tony Bishop for how he's playing. Because we talked about this, Andre, in the quarterfinals and then in the semifinals. He was barely visible in the semifinals. And we said, for them to win the series, he's going to not only step up his defense to slow down Justin Brownlee, but also level up in offense. And he's doing just that. The fact that their numbers are completely, almost identical, that says a lot about the improvement of Tony Bishop. Because the numbers that we saw, we expected that from Justin Brownlee. And we're hoping that Tony Bishop will have these numbers, and he is living up to that expectation and prayers of Meralco. So he has to get that credit, because especially in Game 3, that 30-point output and 16 rebounds really added insult to injury. Your import, if you're in Ginebra, is having an off night, and then the import of the opposing team was just having a ball. So credit to Tony Bishop in stepping up his game. And I think similarly, Ginebra will have to throw something different to Tony Bishop. You know, he's on an upward trajectory. He's playing well, and I assume he can get better as the series progresses. And so Ginebra will have to take him seriously and start I'm assuming they have, but to really be aggressive more on coming up with a intentional defensive strategy against a Tony Bishop.
Well, 1B, let's take a quick break. Let's resume our conversation after a timeout. Stay tuned to Sports Desk only here on CNN Philippines, where we go all out for the day's top sports stories. We'll be right back. Basketball Analyst Juan Banal is with us today for an all-out discussion on the PBA Governors Cup Finals Game 4 between Meralco and Ginebra happens tonight at the Big Dome. One, before we continue our conversation, alam mo na ba? Do you know what time it is, 1B?
For sure, for sure.
You lead it in.
Actually, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited because this one I know.
Sige, ikaw mag-lead in. 1B, it's time for our
Quiz question for the day. Did I get it right?
Lagyan mo namang energy next time. Quiz question of the day. The question I asked earlier was Tim Cohn and Norman Black are two of the 4 Grand Slam winning coaches in PBA history. Who are the other two? Juan Banal, go ahead.
Well, siguro, the first one would not be is a no-brainer. I think it's Baby Dalupan.
Of course, the maestro,
the legendary coach of the PBA. And
Matic
the second
yan.
one I only know. The second one I only know because my father was part of it, the Great Lakes franchise, and so it was Tommy Manotoc was his coach when they won 2 championships in Great Lakes, which I think before that it was a different franchise.
Parang ngayon ka lang yata tumama sa parehong
Bro,
sagot.
I know. That's why I was so excited. You have to understand how thrilled I was in my seat because I knew the answer to this question.
Kumbaga sa free throws, lagi kang mintis yung una, pasok yung pangalawa. Well, the correct answer is...
Ito yung tipong pumuesto na kagad ako sa free throw line, hindi pa ako tinatawagan ng foul.
Oh, tapos bigla kang, ready ka na kagad. Tama ka naman. The Maestro, Baby Dalupan, and of course, Tommy Manotoc. Now, let's go back to our discussion. PBA Governors Cup Finals, Meralco, Ginebra, Game 4 tonight at the Big Dome. Punta tayo dun sa locals. Kanina pag-usapan natin yung Brownlee-Bishop import matchup. We know Meralco hasn't been playing Chris Banquero as much because of his injury.
Yeah.
He's not 100%. That's obvious as we panoorin mo lang siya on the court. But Aaron Black, AB, has been able to step up big in this series. Ikaw, 1B, talk about Aaron Black rising up to the occasion and in his first finals appearance nonetheless.
I have to say, Andre, I'm really, truly excited for Aaron Black. And really, I'm not related to him. I just feel so proud of his journey
Grabe, no?
in his career. Because we knew about Aaron Black since, he was a high school player, played for Ateneo, and then played in college also. I mean, he barely hit the floor, and yet his journey and his success right now, and no, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg for this kid. But just his output in Game 2, 24 points, 10 out of 20 from the field, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. He's averaging 14.7 points per game and 31.7 minutes on the floor in probably so far the biggest basketball stage in his career. And he's stepping up. And the fact that Coach Tim Cohn complimented Aaron Black and saying, he's silencing the doubters and saying, this guy is an all-star legit player. You got to respect the name. And I think he's just so calm and he's put in so much of the work that's needed to get to where he is. And I think everyone's just a fan of basketball would be proud to see where Aaron Black is.
Of course. And again, sinabi ko na din dati ito on the show. Tapos na, yung mga nagsasabi na dahil kay Coach Norman, no. This kid has proven himself, his worth. Kahit anong team pa ilagay mo to si Aaron Black, he has proven that he belongs in the PBA and he has delivered on a big stage. Well, it looks like Ginebra will need some help, much needed help. Coach Norman mentioned to us that Japeth Aguilar might be returning for the Gin Kings tonight. Of course, we know he's bound to be a huge boost, literally and figuratively, 1B for Barangay Ginebra, the defending champs. Explain how Japeth can affect the current dynamic of the series and talk about his potential impact and how he can literally change the landscape of the series if he returns tonight.
Well, a Japeth Aguilar is a Japeth Aguilar. Undeniably, the impact, the presence that he has, especially in the shaded paint for Ginebra. Yes, Justin Brownlee had 6 blocks in Game 3, but a Japeth Aguilar can easily get 6 blocks in all 3 games. That's just how he is defensively for Ginebra, and so his presence there will be a threat to the second chance opportunities that Meralco has been living off in this series. And at the same time, if there's any statistic that indicates who will win the game, it's the rebounding category. In game one, Meralco won that 48-44. Game two, Ginebra won that 49-41. Game three, Meralco won 55-45. And you can see the disparity in the gap between the amounts of rebounds, the difference. Also, it kind of has a direct proportion to the output of the game. If malaki ba yung lamang or konti lang yung lamang, and having a Japeth Aguilar to secure that and get those extra possessions and limit the possessions of Meralco will be definitely something at the bare minimum he can have an impact on in this ball game or in this series rather.
It will be huge for sure. Lalo na kanina, you kept on pointing out the interior defense, yung inside, yung rebounding. So if Japeth is there, 80% Japeth Aguilar is more than enough for Ginebra. What more, 100%
sure.
Japeth Aguilar,
For
diba? Well, Coach Norman Black saying they'll be ready regardless whether Japeth Aguilar returns or not. They'll be ready for sure. What kind of adjustments do you expect from Coach Norman and the Bolts should Japeth Aguilar indeed play in a pivotal game for tonight?
Well, that means guys like Alain Maliksi and Bong Quinto will have to know that they have to start hitting it from the outside because you'll expect a lot of penetration attempts by Meralco, but then with the presence of Japeth Aguilar, his defensive presence, that will force a lot of kick-out passes. And they have to burn those defensive rotations of Ginebra by making those outside jump shots and kind of loosening up that shaded area for guys like Tony Bishop who like attacking the basket and Aaron Black and also Cliff Hodge. So outside shots would definitely work and help release the added pressure of having a Japeth Aguilar on the defensive end against Meralco.
Fearless forecast, 1B. For the rest of the series so far, Meralco took Game 1, Ginebra Game 2, Game 3 Meralco, Game 4 ba ang Ginebra? Anong nakikita mo, Fearless forecast? Which team do you see winning the Governors Cup here in 2022?
Initially, I said that Meralco would have to
Shorten the
play
series.
this swift and clean and shorten it to get that advantage. But with the trend, and like I said, now legitimately, I don't know who's going to win. Anything can happen. But Meralco seems to be playing the right way, and they are healthy. That's, I think, the first and foremost important aspect here in this ballgame. Coach Norman Black has tremendously adjusted to Coach Tim's adjustments, and it's going to be, like I said, a chess. You mentioned it. It's a chess match. And so I'm predicting a Game 7. And if Meralco is healthy, this might be their conference. This might be their year. But again, never say die. Ginebra, very unpredictable. What they can, the rabbit out of the hat that they can pull. But you kind of want to like root for Meralco at least in this fourth round of Meralco Ginebra.
Okay, 1B. Still have time. Before we let you go, the PBA will hand out the individual awards for the Governors Cup before Game 4 tips off. And we may just see Scotty Thompson win his first Best Player of the Conference title in his career. Your thoughts on Scotty and what he was able to do, especially in the playoffs? We know Robert Bolick is leading in the statistical points, but he lasso action. Actually, hindi nga sila nag-playoffs, di ba? So before the playoffs, pa huling nakita si Bolick. Will that, kumbaga, play a factor? And talk about Scotty Thompson, how huge he has been playing for Ginebra here in the playoffs.
Well, Scotty Thompson's rise to the best player of the conference had a direct impact on the rise of Ginebra in this conference. People counted Ginebra out, and then people didn't even notice Scotty Thompson as a probable best player of the game. But then they were coinciding with each other as Ginebra was climbing that ladder and beating monster teams after monster teams. Scotty Thompson's game kept climbing as well, and I think that the what sets him apart though is his ability to be consistent with his triple threat, right? He's a walking triple double, potential triple double, and he's been consistent all conference long with that kind of output. It may not be all triple doubles, but it's at that they're in the border of hitting that, or he would actually hit it. So the consistency of him carrying the load in the paint and outside and sharing the ball and picking up the slack when there are off nights for his teammates. The consistency of Scotty Thompson for Ginebra is making him a good cause for at least a good run for this best player of the conference.
So for you, Scotty deserving best player of the conference, 1B?
I would have to say the amount of load he had to carry on his shoulders. Given that, I mean, Robert Bolly played so much. The way he played also impressive.
Yeah.
Also, but Scotty's consistency every single night. That's beyond reproach.
Juan B, as always, a pleasure having you talk about the PBA. Exciting game for tonight. And we'll talk to you after the break. Juan Banala, have a safe Holy Week.
God bless everyone.
God bless you. Talk to you soon. That was basketball analyst Juan Banal. Now